Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Welcome to the Rescue Your Child's Summit hosted by Tessellate. Welcome to the summit. I am honored, my pleasure, and I'm honored to organize and host this summit on a topic that's very dear to me, and I find that it's very important to our communities. And so I hope that you will benefit from this entire summit, starting with this introductory session and all of the sessions that were presented by the various sisters that have volunteered their time to educate us and give us pointers and tips, and inshallah be of benefit to you and to all of us who are participating and listening in to these sessions. So Tessellate, Mosaics of Development, and what we do is we provide the tools, training, and support you need to live holistically, teach effectively, and navigate youth career paths decisively. This is a company that was started in 2020. Alhamdulillah, it's based in the United Arab Emirates. However, because most of our programs are online, they're accessible to anyone in the world. So to get the most from this summit, listen in a private area. Alhamdulillah, the intention for this summit was to be for ladies only. So many of the uh, presenters would appreciate it if you listen in a private area away from your male family members. Turn off distractions. Okay? Turn off any notifications you have on your phone or anything else that will call you away from being able to listen intently to the information that's being presented. Take notes. There are a lot of details that will be shared and tips that will be shared during these sessions. So taking notes will allow you to have an opportunity to go back to those topics and those points that were the most important to you so that you're able to implement. Be present. When you're attending these sessions, really listen in and have your whole thought process involved into the information that the sisters are presenting because it is really important to our lives. And then intend to implement. The basis of summits like this and sessions like this and workshops is not that we just sit and listen and then just feel good. No, the intent behind it is that you're given enough information that you can actually get started and implement what you learn after the summit. So, inshallah, I hope that you're able to get the most benefit from the time that you spend over the next 2 days. Okay, so I want you to take a moment and think about this question. Why are you here? What made you sign up for this summit? What is it that you're looking for? Take a moment and answer this question. I am attending this summit because, and really think deeply about it. Not because, my friend just suggested it, so I'm coming. So really think deeply. What is it that you want to gain from the time that you spend over the next few days listening to several sessions on the topic of rescuing your child's health? What is it that made you come and take the effort to sign up and then free your schedule to be here for these sessions? Take a moment and jot that down. If you look in on the page where you find this video, there's a little button at the top that says comment. Please click on the comment and add why you are here. This helps us to be able to get to know each other better and better serve each other in the future, inshallah. Okay. What is health? Health is a person's physical, emotional, mental, and social ability to cope with his or her environment. Now, a lot of times when we think of health, we generally only think of physical health. And in some cases, we think health is the lack of illness or disease. But if we see in this definition, we find that health is a little bit more than just what happens physically. It's physical health, emotional health, and mental health, and how we associate in our social lives, how we adapt or respond to our environment. So, all of this is about health. Now, uh, in building this summit, we stress that we want to help our children uh, become healthy holistically. And we're talking about through diet and lifestyle change, and details, inshallah, will be coming in the other session. But we're not only talking about physical health, we're also talking about emotional, mental, and social health as well. Okay? So keep that in mind when you're listening to all of the sessions and the information that is presented, that a lot of it is connected to physical health. But when we're healthy physically, we're also healthy emotionally and mentally as well. So consider all of that as a part of being healthy or having health. And health, when we think about it in a full scope, this is what we mean by holistic, meaning not just one part or only certain symptoms. We want to address the whole person or the whole child. Health is one of the most precious favors Allah has bestowed upon His servant. And this is a quote by Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, who wrote about health, and he wrote a book called The Prophet's Medicine. So here he lets us know how important health is, and it's one of the most precious favors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that we need to take care of it. Health and treatment of illness should be sought after by the Muslims. And this is a statement derived from Imam al-Zahabi, rahimahullah, who also wrote about Prophet's medicine, and he mentions here that after the obligatory act and after abstaining from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made forbidden, the next best thing that we can do as Muslims is to maintain good health and seek treatment for our illnesses. So we learn here that it's upon us as Muslims to maintain our health and seek treatment for our illnesses and try to cure our illnesses and not just accept them and do nothing about it. What is good health in children? What does it look like? If someone were to ask you if your child is healthy, what are the things you would look for to be able to answer that question? Now, although every child is different, we know this, not two individuals are the same. There are some signs that we can look for to know whether or not a child is in good health. Okay, so we look for signs of good health. One of them is consistent growth. If a child is growing consistently at a good pace, this is a sign that they're getting the nutrients that they need, and therefore they're able to grow and grow well. Learning comes without difficulty. Now, this is learning things that are appropriate by age, but we find that in healthy children, when you try to teach them or expose them to new experiences, they learn without difficulty. You're able to have a good pace with them, or things or objectives that you have set out. They're able to meet the objectives when it comes to learning, and it's specifically academic learning. No physical abnormalities. Healthy children tend to have clear skin. They don't have issues, physical issues. You won't find like bold legs or anything like that. So, what is considered typical for a healthy child, you will find that these children who have good health don't have any physical abnormal. They normally don't have any dental issues, so you won't find cavities or anything like that. They have straight teeth. Their teeth have grown in straight, and they grow up through the years without having any dental issues. At general emotional well-being, so you find that this child is generally calm, happy, easygoing. Of course, personalities are different, but in general, you find that this child has a good emotional well-being. Healthy children are rarely ill, and when they are, they recover quickly and they recover without traces of the ailment lingering. Okay? So when children are healthy, they generally have a strong immune system, and this causes them to be able to fight off illnesses quickly and to recover quickly, or they just, alhamdulillah, just don't get sick. So you might find that children around them are sick, stuffy noses, colds, flu, but the healthy child, alhamdulillah, does not catch these ailments. Healthy children have good appetite for a variety of foods. Of course, the variety is dependent on what's available in their environment, but they don't have an aversion to foods. They will eat well, they have a good appetite, they can tell you when they're hungry, and they eat and they become satiated. Regular sleep pattern. We find that healthy children have regular sleep patterns. They don't stay up too late. They don't sleep a lot. They have like maybe a good solid 8 hours. They can wake up and go to sleep at regular time. And then one other thing that you can look for, you look for how they interact with their environment. Healthy children like playing, exploring, socializing, communicating. So they talk with other people, they play with other children, they like to explore things. And you find that they're generally aware of their environment and they engage with their environment and other individuals in their environment. These are some signs of a healthy child. Illness in children. So, what would we look for to determine if a child is not well or if there's illness in a child? So, one of the signs would be under or overweight, or growth is inconsistent, meaning uh, we typically have an idea of what size the child should be at what age, at their ages. And so you find some moms say, oh, she's a little bit underweight. She's not growing well. She's kind of small, or she's overweight. She's really chunky, things like this. When you are aware that this child's growth is different, that might be an indication of illness. Learning challenges. Children who have particular illnesses have difficulty when learning. So this usually appears when a child is in an academic setting and they're not able to pick up at a rate that might be set out for them. And even if they're not in an academic setting, you might find that um, it is difficult to get this child to learn topics or say things like reading and things like that. You see that there's a real challenge there, and they're not picking up the way you would expect them to. And you might say, well, every child is different, they develop differently. And yes, this is true, but there are certain expectations that you would have for individual children at their ages that they're in. And when you see that they're not able to, or it far exceeds the limit of when uh, they should be able to, it might be time to investigate the causes of this. You might see physical issues like eczema, asthma, allergies, tummy ache, etc. These are direct indicators that there is an illness, that there are gut issues at play. Eczema, asthma, and allergies, or you have a child that complains of a stomach ache all the time on a regular basis, then you know that there is an illness in this child. Dental issues like crooked teeth and cavities. Children who experience gut issues or they have an illness generally have problems with their teeth as well. They may be crowded, they may be crooked, they grow in crooked. Um, they have cavities that progress quickly. So this is an indicator as well. Frequent emotional outbursts. You find that children who have illnesses may have issues regulating their emotions. So you may find that they are quick to anger or to be frustrated, or they might just burst out in tears, seemingly without a cause or a cause that might seem like it could be handled easier. So you will find that children who are experiencing gut issues also have issues with regulating their emotions. Frequent infections, and they're generally unwell. So children who have illness in the body also typically have low immunity. So they quickly become ill from colds and flus and things like that. You may find that they have a persistent cough or a constant runny nose, um, or that they are generally unwell. So it's a cycle. They become okay and then they're sick again, and it just continues. Like picky eating or a strong preference for low nutrient foods is also a sign that your child may be unwell. Picky eating is the situation where the child only eats a uh, only select foods, and they won't go outside of that, or it's very difficult to get them to eat things outside of the foods that they have chosen to eat. And typically it is food they have chosen to eat. I mean, they have selected to eat, to include in their diet, and it's very difficult to get them to eat other things. This could also include sensory issues where a child won't eat a particular food because they don't like the way it feels. Okay, so these are indicators that there is an issue there. And the foods that they gravitate toward are usually low nutrient foods or foods that are processed, what we might typically call junk food. Typically, they'll have a high sugar content. So if you have a child who really only wants to eat this type of food, only wants to eat these items, they want chips, they want cookies, they want a lot of fruit, they only want to drink juice, you have to take a look into uh, what might be the cause of their food choices. These children also sleep excessively or have frequent bouts of insomnia. Okay, so on either side of the spectrum, either they sleep a whole lot. So you might have a child, you would expect them to sleep 8 hours and then wake up and feel rested and want to play. But this child will sleep 12 hours continually, for example. Or they get up at an appropriate time, do a few things, and then they're back to sleep. You find that they're constantly having to sleep. This what would be how we would characterize as sleep excessively. Or the opposite, bouts of insomnia. They can't go to sleep. So you might have established a routine, a bedtime, but this child will not go to sleep. They stay awake, or they may fall asleep briefly and then wake back up full of energy and just like ready to play. Or you may have a child that falls asleep, is in deep sleep, and then wakes up screaming, crying, and in terror. So, sleep patterns that are abnormal should be investigated. Playing, exploring, and socializing, communicating are a challenge. So, for these children, we find that um, they may not want to associate with other children. They don't want to play with them. They don't want to talk to anybody. Don't like to play. Perhaps you might say go outside, kick a ball around. They don't want to go outside. They just want to sit. They might be very docile. Of course, we have you want to consider the child's personality. However, if it is to the point where that there's a concern and you see that the behavior goes beyond what might be typical, then investigate. Find out what could be the cause of this child and behaving this way. And oftentimes, because there is some type of issue or illness, mostly related to digestive issues. But every child is different. And I hear a lot of mothers say this because uh, we get into this mindset of if we try to investigate, we're saying that the child is not normal, or we're judging the child against other children or comparing them to other children. You don't compare children. Each person is an individual. Everyone has their own personalities, etc., etc. While this is true, there are certain indicators that let us know that what we're looking at is not simply the child's individuality, and that there is something there that we need to investigate. Children learn at different paces. Yes, that's true. Children have different competences. Yes, that's true. Children have different aptitudes. Yes, that's true. Children have different capacities to dealing with people. Yes, that's true. Children have preferences. Yes, that's true. There is always something that lets us know that we need to look beyond just simple differences. Trust your instinct. Many mothers instinctively know when they need to look at or take what they see in their child seriously. Many mothers can see the signs that there may be an illness in their child, and it's not what they're seeing or the signs they're seeing, not simply due to differences in the person or differences in the child. And they know that this is something that they need to take more seriously, that there might be a root cause to the signs and symptoms that they're looking at. So trust your instinct, especially as a mother. You're the one who's with that child most of the time. In typical households, the mother is the one that's with the child the most, especially during the early years. We spend a lot of time with our children, and we're the ones who see them. We see how they behave. We see how they eat and drink. We see how they interact with other people. We have a general expectation of how that's supposed to go. But uh, instinctively, when there's a problem, a mother will know. So we must trust our instincts. Another way that you would know that it's not simply the child's personality or the differences in the individual child, is how you feel. Ask yourself, how do I feel? Do you feel anxious? Anxious when you go out with this child because you don't know if they're going to have a meltdown and a screaming fit in the middle of the grocery store? Do you feel frustrated with the child's behavior or with tantrums that last for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and the child is unconsolable? Are you embarrassed when your child cannot perform or doesn't display the same level of ability as other children? Do you feel helpless? Have you tried everything to alleviate some of the challenges that you have with your child and they haven't worked and you feel helpless? Or you feel helpless because you're tired and you don't have enough energy to deal with the sleepless night and then the tantrums and then the battles with eating, etc., etc. Do you feel sad? Do you feel sad that you don't know what to do? And perhaps you're confused and you don't understand what's happening with this child. Perhaps you have other children that you didn't have issues with, but now you have this one child who won't stop crying, or teachers complain about, or doesn't know how to play with other children, bites and scratches, and so on. This could be confusing. Do you feel hopeless? Do you feel like this child is going to grow up and always be an issue? I hope that we never get to that point of feeling hopeless. But for some mothers, this is how it is. And it can be difficult to open up and express these feelings because uh, it might generate feelings of being a bad mother and failing at parenting. And none of this is the case, really. Or it might not be solely the reason why you're having challenges with your child. But a lot of mothers internalize this and it generates a lot of feeling to the point where they feel hopeless. And may Allah protect us from that. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for well-being. So illness in children. But how do we approach this? How do we think about this? Sheikh Abdullah Aziz bin Baz rahimahullah said regarding illnesses in children and its significance. Therefore, that which afflicts them by way of sicknesses and infirmities, then it has far-reaching wisdom in it. From it is that the people should know of his power over everything, and that he tests with prosperity and adversity, so that those who have been bestowed with healthy children should come to know the gracious favor of Allah upon them. Likewise, that those who have been tested with children who have been afflicted with sickness should gain perception so as to be patient and hope for reward, and hence there will be a great reward for him and a tremendous virtue over his patience and his hope and expectation of reward and his iman and the preordainment of Allah and his pre-decree and of his wisdom. So if we're experiencing challenges with our children, it's from the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should be patient with it and hope for his reward and use it as a means to get closer to him subhanahu wa ta'ala and increase our iman, because this is from his wisdom and this is the best thing for us. So know that whatever you're experiencing with your child, hopelessness is not the answer, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises that he will reward those who are patient with what they're afflicted with. So we have hope, we are optimistic, and we have good thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I hope also that through going through the sessions in this summit, that you will see that there are avenues of healing for all kinds of ailments, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not put a place of disease that does not have its cure with it. Some know it and some do not. However, it is there. So whatever you're experiencing with your child, have hope that there is a way to relieve it. There's a way that you can recover your child's health. You, inshallah ta'ala, with the help of Allah, can rescue your child's health. And often it does not require medication, it does not require extensive hospital visits, does not require consultation with doctors. It may simply be the need for a dietary change and a lifestyle change. So I would like you to go through each and every one of these sessions. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open your heart and give you the insight to be able to see what you need to do to rescue your child's health. Everything I've said here of good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and any errors that are in the presentation are from me and the shaitan. And I will stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.